Thom Hartmann here on the news. You need to know this. New job numbers highlight a slowing economic recovery. 54,000 jobs were created last month, the 15th straight month of job creation. The jobless rate, however, stands at 9.1%. But 54,000 fell way short of what economists projected, about 165,000 jobs. It's also the slowest job growth in 8 months. And considering the 200,000 jobs need to be created every month just to keep up with population growth, our nation is still falling behind. Job creation is being hampered by a double dip in the housing market as house prices fell to a 9-month low last month, with 28% of all home sales today resulting from foreclosures. And nearly a quarter of all homeowners are underwater on their mortgage. Looks like George W. Bush's plan of bailing out the banks in 2008 and just sitting back and hoping that money trickles down to everyone else didn't work, just like it never works. So let's try something different to reboot our economy. Let's try something that's been proven to work before, a New Deal. With bridges and roads collapsing, our energy infrastructure out of date, and a growing need for new schools and hospitals, let's put Americans back to work building our nation again. Never in the history of the world has a country achieved prosperity through budget cuts and low taxes. It's time to invest money and grow our way out of this recession. Who's screwed? Sick and poor people in Indiana. Republican Governor Mitch Daniels signed a new law that prohibits Medicaid funding from going to Planned Parenthood because 3% of their services go to abortions, even though none of those are paid for by Medicaid. That means over 9,000 people who depend on Planned Parenthood for mammograms and other forms of preventative medicine are screwed. But that's not all. Governor Daniels was warned by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, that this new state law of his violates federal law preventing states from cutting off funding to organizations that perform constitutionally protected services, like abortions. CMS notified the governor that when he signs the bill into law, he could jeopardize the entire Medicaid program in his state and $4 billion worth of federal funding. But Governor Daniels went ahead and signed it anyway, and now over 1 million people in Indiana could lose their government health insurance. Of course, this is exactly what Republicans around the country are trying to do. Governor Rick Perry in Texas, who threatened to drop his state out of Medicaid a few months ago, is considering similar legislation. So are Republicans in Kansas, North Carolina, and Idaho. And, of course, Republican Budget Chairman Paul Ryan's plan guts the entire Medicare program. It's simple. Republicans are addicted to their Ayn Rand ideology that only rich people matter. So they don't give a damn, frankly, if poor people are dying due to lack of health care. Republicans argue that if you're poor and you get cancer because some gas fracking corporation poisoned your water, then it's your own fault, and you should have gotten a higher-paying job to cover your medical bills. In the best of the rest of the news, in a meeting with House Democrats yesterday, President Obama assured them that no way, no how will the Bush tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires be extended beyond 2012. The president also said that revenue raisers must be part of any deal to raise the debt ceiling, something that Republicans refused to even consider. One congressman at the meeting quoted the president as saying he would not support extending the Bush tax cuts for the top 2% again, no matter what hostages Republicans took. Unfortunately, the hostage that Republicans are taking this time is the entire global economy, which could collapse if Republicans don't come to the table on a debt limit increase. And with Moody's Investment Service warning our nation yesterday that our debt rating could be downgraded unless a deal to raise the debt limit is reached by next month, the clock is ticking. Of course, the only clock Republicans care about is the clock ticking away until the 2012 elections. They figure if they can crash the economy before then President Obama will be blamed for it, and they can beat him in the upcoming presidential election. Given how unpopular they are, it's probably their own choice, even though it'll mean destroying the lives of millions. Feed homeless people, go to jail. 3 people were arrested in Orlando, Florida on Wednesday for feeding the homeless. The 3 people, members of the organization Food Not Bombs, met in a park to feed more than 40 hungry and homeless people, which is illegal, according to a recently passed city ordinance that requires individuals to obtain a city permit if they plan to feed more than 25 homeless people. The penalty for breaking the law could be 60 days in jail. Again, this is for just feeding hungry people. 60 days in jail. The Republican war on the poor in America is showing up in all sorts of absurd ways. In Orlando, poor people aren't even considered human anymore. They're like wild animals that city street signs forbid you to feed. Another explosion rocked the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant yesterday. Luckily, no injuries were reported. Also, the Japanese government is putting restrictions on green tea and plums coming out of areas around the plant due to high levels of nuclear fallout. Meanwhile, there are reports out of Japan that the government may enlist the help of a group of Japanese senior citizens who are willing to go on suicide missions to put the melted down Fukushima plant back under control. There are about 450 workers still at that plant, working in shifts to contain the situation, exposing themselves to massive doses of radiation. But a group of senior citizens calling themselves the Suicide Squad want to put all those workers out of the plant and jump in themselves to fix the problem. The group argues that younger generations shouldn't be risking their lives. Of course, the best way to keep younger generations safe around the world is to ditch nuclear power altogether. And that's the way it is today, Friday, June 3rd, 2011. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.